Our next debate is between another Fiji team and, of course, another FNU best team. Can I invite the two teams up to the floor, please? Ladies and gentlemen, while these two teams come up to the floor and before they introduce themselves, the topic for their debate is: a single national constituency is good for Fiji. So the team from Fiji will be speaking on the affirmative side, and the team from FNU will be speaking on the negative side. A single national constituency is good for Fiji. We will be following the same format as the first round. Again, by the time we reach the second speaker from the negative team, straight after that speaker will be the third speaker from the negative team again. Before they begin, please, another round of applause for our debaters today.
My learned friends, judges, representatives from Dialogue Fiji, International IDEA, UKAid, students from FNU, students from Fiji, and those tuning in through the live stream, and friends present here today. Good afternoon. My name is Priscilla, and I'm a third year law student with University of Fiji. And today my team is going to speak on why a single national constituency is good for Fiji. Before I proceed, I'm going to take my learned friends through a retrospect of why multiple national constituencies was never good for Fiji and how one national constituency begs to differ. One vote was not equal to one value. For example, in Madhuwata, 8,000 people voted for one person, and somewhere in Vitilevu, 18,000 people voted for one person. How was that fair? Number two, the ethnic lines. If you were others, you would have to go into another constituency called others, and you had the right to elect one person, but in heavily populated areas which had others, basically not Indians or UKAid, they would not be able to vote because they did not fall into any of those categories. Number three, a country like ours, we have got very mobile population. Previously in the 70s, we had a very fixed nature of system. People remained in the villages of land, farming area, because they knew that this is where life continues. But now with urbanization, expiry of leases, and with the invent of more factories, industries, and universities, people are moving from outer parts of country into concentrated regions. So if you look at the constituency division system of the past and now, Central Division would now have more constituencies than anywhere else in Fiji because of the number of people moving in. Number four, and then you have this problem of dividing constituencies in Fiji where you have so many informal settlements. For example, in Cunningham, in 2012, it was all grass and bush. And by 2019, it got heavily populated. Now, when you drive past Cunningham, you can see only roofing iron, and cars parked here and there. So I want to ask my learned friends, how do you compensate for that in a constituency to give fair number of votes to every seat in parliament? And in a place like Cunningham, how will you differentiate the ethnic lines? Back then, if one wished to verify ethnic voting, they would do so by tagging to a village. Example, this person is from that village, that person is from that village, so on and so forth. In Cunningham, you will find people from the Yasawas, the Mamanudas, basically from everywhere. So how will they vote? Or will they vote for those jurisdictions from Cunningham? Number five, with the old system, you cannot go and say, I want to win 15 seats from this region because all this region is only UKAid or Indo-Fijians. So I will go heavy with either ethnic level policies and win 15 seats. Because you could do that with multiple constituencies before, where you go make localized promises, like I will build a toilet in this school, I will do this, I will do that. So then, because you made those promises, people will vote for you, and you make it to the parliament. And then nothing happens. And when the term in parliament ends, and one goes back, the cycle continues. So because of this, the development slowed down. Number 6, historically, we never had many women in parliament. In 1999, 27 female candidates contested the elections and 11.3% got elected. In 2001, 31 female candidates contested the elections and only 7% got elected. In 2006, 30 female candidates contested the elections and only 11.3% got elected. In 2014, 44 female candidates contested the elections and only 16% got elected, which is 13.2% of total votes received that year. In 2018, 56 female candidates contested the elections and only 19.6% got elected, which was 8.16% total votes received that year. So these figures show a comparison between the last 3 elections of 2006, 2014, and 2018. The 2006 elections was conducted with an electoral system established under the 1997 Constitution, which was the alternative voting system. The 2014 and 2018 general elections used the open list proportional representation system, which was established in the 2013 Constitution. These figures have been sourced from the Fiji Elections Office. So this shows how women even got empowered through one national constituency. My team strongly supports that a single national constituency is good for Fiji. Need I say more?
To rebuttal the first speaker, before doing that, the honorable guest, panel of judges, fellow debaters, and the audience. Today I stand before you to express my views for the motion of the given debate. I firmly believe that having a single national constituency in Fiji does and will not benefit the country in the way that it should. First of all, having a single national constituency is supposed to promote multi-ethnic voting, national unity, and trans-ethnic voting. But we believe that having a single national constituency in Fiji does not produce this result, but rather produces the opposite effect of what should be. Being under a single national constituency means that a nation is under the influence or leadership of a single ruler or office holder. This is known as the rockstar effect. The rockstar effect is when the people only vote for the famous candidate or the majority vote. If you look closely, you'll see that only the longest running leaders are those or is the person that has majority votes. We have had the same government for almost a decade. Does this seem fair to you? Do you think everyone's voice is being heard? When elections are being held, what happens to the people who voted for someone that isn't one of the famous candidates? A person or a candidate with less vote is able to have a seat in parliament because of single national constituency. And someone who has more votes than the candidate is not able to attain a seat in parliament. Our country practices the dehoned voting system, whereby all votes to the candidates of the parties that did not get a seat is being distributed to the candidates that had more votes. Do the people know who their votes are allocated to? With single national constituency, the nation is likely to be under one ruler. So think about this scenario. What happens if something happens to the rock star? What will the party do? Who will step up to the position? Will that candidate have this flair that the original rock star have? Will the people have a say in who gets to the next position? Secondly, is that minority groups are being excluded. Minority groups such as Rotumans make up less than 2% of the country's population, and they are being left out during the parliament sitting, and this shows that they are not being represented as citizens of Fiji. How can one voice be heard if they are not given the opportunity, as others have? To be socially and politically marginalized in the 2018 Fijian government brought up the Rotuman Bill in Parliament because the government has been trying to replace the Rotuman Act. The government can easily change the act with the majority vote, and this is unfair due to the fact that there is no Rotuman representative in the Parliament. the resources that belongs to Ratuma would belong to the Fijian government. And so the bill proposes changes to Ratuma. Ratumans aren't the only ones that are being excluded from social and political events. The Banabans, Chinese, Melanesians, and other Pacific Islanders are also being excluded and discriminated by the majority population. This shows that this is unequal rights and power within the country. And I don't think that having this type of constituency beneficial for Fiji. Is it a right to have such a system in place? Is it? To have a system whereby people's opinions are not validated or taken into account. This brings to my next point, which is 5% threshold, whereby votes being wasted through having a single national constituency. According to the 2018 Fijian election, write-up piece by Mr. Nilesh Lal was that the proportional representation system, also known as the PR system, is that it translates votes proportionally into seats won. Seat bonuses for larger parties are minimized and smaller parties are likely to get representation in the legislature. Thus, it gives rise to very few wasted votes, especially when the thresholds are low, and almost all votes go towards electing a candidate. However, due to single constituency in 2014, 35,727 total number of votes were wasted, which is approximately 7.21% of total votes by the people. Who will vote for these people? Who will voice for these people? If the threshold would be decreased at least to 2%, then there would be equal representation of representatives from different parties and districts that would have been given the equal opportunity, and also high chance for them to win seats in the parliament if only threshold is decreased. Furthermore, I would like to state that we are not against the electoral system as a whole, but we are against the use of single national constituency. Proportional representation is a term used to describe a range of electoral system in which the distribution of seats corresponds closely with the proportion of the total votes casted for each party or individual candidate. PR offers alternatives to first past the post and the other majoritarian voting system based on single-member electoral areas, which tend to produce inconsistent outcome to have a bias in favor of larger political groups. Having the PR system has a lot of advantages, such as Fiji may offer would give minority parties and independent candidate a better chance of winning seats in parliament. It ensures the parties would have to appeal to their co-supporters rather than a small number of so-called swing voters in marginal seat. Fewer votes are wasted as more of people's preferences are taken into account, and PR delivers fair treatment of minority parties and independent candidates. PR rarely produces an absolute majority for one party. However, it could be argued that the PR ensures greater continuity of government and requires greater consensus in policy making. But in order for the PR system to work, single national constituency need to be eradicated. The country is producing the opposite effect of the good that the single national constituency is supposed to produce. Somehow, this system manages to suppress the advantage of the PR system. Take, for example, Georgia. They adopted single national constituency, and it did not work out for them. Georgia had half of its parliament members from having a single national constituency based on proportional representation, and the other half from a single mandated constituencies based on plurality outcomes. This system was based on, you can say, an ancient and old system, and the country is trying to come up with new forms of voting that would not bring about inequality in the weight and influence its citizens vote with unfair distribution of parliamentary seats to compete in political movements in Georgia. The PR system did not work out because of having a single national constituency with the PR system. Before I take my seat, I leave you with this question. Are you really comfortable with having such a constituency in place, Vinaka?
Distinguished guests, panel of judges, students, and those of you viewing via live broadcast A very beloved naga to you all. My name is Savanada Dinindaveta. I'm a third year law student at the University of Fiji. This is a fascinating concept and one that my team and I support for the benefit of the whole of Fiji, not just to please a small group of individuals. As it stands, the topic, a single constituency, is good for Fiji. It's about how we use or apply our current electoral system to choose our representatives in parliament, and we advocate that this system remains fair, democratic, and transparent. In accordance with the Fiji Constitution of 1970, 1990, and 1997, we have constituency as outlined by those constitutions. Members of parliament were elected in accordance with those respective constitutions. Now, in our 2000 constitutions, Chapter 53, Section 53, Section 53, subsection 1 says, the election member of parliament are by a multi-member open list system of proportional representation under which voter has one vote, with each vote being of equal value, in a single national electoral roll comprising of the registered voters. The benefit of this electoral voters system, instated in a 2013 constitution are as follows. Firstly, it simplifies election preparation, whereby allowing you the choice to vote for someone, a friend for example, who may not reside in your area, but nevertheless contesting the election from another region. You can still vote for that person. That's an advantage of a single constituency. Secondly, the advantage of a single constituency is that it allows for a person to still make a vote, even if they have moved. For example, someone has registered in Lambasa and moved to Suva. Thus, they apply for postal vote. Instead of saying, oh, I missed that deadline because I'm unable to return to Lambasa to vote. As a result, you can vote from anywhere in the country, although we currently have precinct vote, which means you can vote where you have assigned. Thirdly, single national constituency is that a political parties campaign, they have to make national promise, which means that anything they promise must benefit the whole nation, not just their own locality. One of the key things you will know when you cross someone's place and you notice that somebody from that place is a member of parliament or a minister, because the road will be nicely tasseled, and one house will have a nice paint, and everything is neatly done. And under the current system, because you get a vote from anywhere in the country, the political parties make national level promises, not a local one. The other advantage of single national constituency is that it also provides for more candidate distribution under the constituency system. Political parties will only fill the candidates who they knew will be popular in that region. So this deprived the youth, this denied the women, and this robbed the transgender people because their popularity dropped. However, we can have candidate contest for a single national constituency, and young people may remark, oh, these people inspire me tremendously. Consequently, I'll vote for him, which indicates that this person has a greater chance of winning. In addition, a single constituency enables you to enhance the ballot secrecy, which means you don't label the place a one political party place. For example, you can go to one village and they will label, oh, this is an Apple Party's village. So once that party doesn't win the election, the other party can go to that village and say, oh, this is an Apple Party's village. I will not do any development here, but because of the national constituency and the secrecy of the ballots, you can vote anyone from anywhere. Finally, in a single constituency, you have more choices. You are not limited to only a few candidates. You have accessibility to all the 400 candidates. They are contesting the election. You can vote for your favorite doctor. You can vote for a film actor. you can vote for anybody. So that's the benefit of the single national constituency. My teams strongly support for the national constituency. Pinaka.
The Honorable Chief Guest, panel of judges, fellow debaters, and audience. Today, I stand before you to express my views for the motion of the given debate. I firmly believe that having a single national constituency in Fiji does not benefit the country in any way that it should. Today, I will be adding on what my fellow colleagues have presented. First of all, as being mentioned by my colleague, having to include single national constituency is overall not beneficial for the country, as it has many downfalls, and it prevents the country from having a constitution which benefits all. A disadvantage of having a single national constituency is the ballot paper design does not represent the candidates properly. As we all know, the country's ballot paper is a paper having 250 numbers on it, representing the candidates running the elections. Having a ballot paper as such hinders and creates difficulty for those people. The people's point of views is not taken into consideration, especially those who are elderly. Is it nice to have to see elderly struggling to see what they have to cross off to? The current design is hindering the voting system, as people might cross off the wrong number and choose the wrong candidate. Not only the elderly, but those who are voting for the first time. If the design changes, then parties would be able to use symbols to campaign, and elderly and first-time voters would have no trouble voting. It will be easier for people to vote for who they want to represent them, and their voices to be heard, and they are not confused on who to vote for. Another way in which single national constituency is bad is that campaigning is expensive. Imagine just one person going all over the country to campaign for the political party with many candidates in a party. For each of these candidates to travel around the country just to campaign or tell people of Fiji as why they should vote for them in the upcoming elections. Compared to if there was a district member constituency, campaigning wouldn't cost as much as the campaigns would be done within the district. Our country's economy has been to a slight disadvantage because of the pandemic, and to have to waste money on funding campaigns doesn't seem like a plus for the country, but rather it takes away the funding that could benefit the people and those who need assistance from the effects of the pandemic has brought to Fiji. If there was a district constituency, then there would be a chance whereby money would not be misused and the country would greatly benefit from this without having to campaign all over the country, but just within their districts. Furthermore, my next point is accountability. The government or the winning candidate is responsible for all that goes into the parliament, and if minority groups have their opinions on certain situations, then who will listen to them? Who will take the account the request that they are making? There is only one person accountable in the single national constituency, and for one person to be responsible for the whole country. Well, I don't know about you, but if I was responsible for the whole country, I would definitely lose my mind. If the country does not have single national constituency, then havoc would not unleash into public, and responsibilities can meet rather than putting decisions on hold and also having to juggle everything at once. This brings to my next point, which is the country can implement reserved seats into the parliament just in case something goes wrong with a member of the parliament. For example, think about it as a rugby game. There are reserves on the sidelines who wait for certain incidents to happen and an individual playing for the relieved in their position. Well, I'm not saying that we should start playing rugby, but rather, if the parliament had reserved seats, then choose for those candidates who lost but had a good number of votes during the elections that would be held, so it can prevent unequal power and the voices of those that are being suppressed can be heard and dealt with. I strongly believe that having a single national constituency is not beneficial for the country. A country in which we can relate to is the Solomon Islands. The Solomon Islands have also adopted single national constituency along with the first past the post voting in their elections 2019. They were not able to produce the advantages of having a single national constituency and were bombarded with the issues such as the ballot paper design and the votes being missing from the polling venues. Also, the Solomon Islanders in overseas were not allowed to vote. All in all, their voting system just took a turn of events when everything just fell apart. It's said that national unity is supposed to be evident when having a single national constituency, but this is not the case. And also, what happened in the Solomon Islands in the year 2019 shows having a single national constituency is not beneficial for Fiji. Before I leave, I would like to share that a country to work well, people should become one, according to Abraham Lincoln, and I quote, "Democracy is the government for the people, by the people, for the people." Fiji needs a system such as district membership constituency, which is the best way people having their representatives that they can vote out their opinions concerning their well-being of people. Pinaka.
The Honorable Chief Guests, fellow debaters, and the audience. We would like to acknowledge the judges, audience, and our opponents for attending this debate. And we would like to state one final time that instilling or having a single national constituency in Fiji is not beneficial. It does not benefit the country's progress socially, politically, and economically. Our team has demonstrated throughout the debate as to why having a single national constituency is not good for the country. Do you think that putting the people of this country through this system is ethical? To have to be in a political system where only the majority or famous candidate become winners, and for those who have the potential of winning the elections lose out just because they're not famous or well known? Sure, having a single national constituency brings out advantages such as having national unity, trans-ethnic voting, and multi-ethnic voting. But do you think all of this is evident in our country? Fiji is somehow producing the opposite effect of what is or should be the case of having a single national constituency. It is said that single national constituency is supposed or meant to promote trans-ethnic voting, and the single national constituency ensures that politicians are not locked into localized loyalty, but rather have a broader national outlook. The open listing system is also meant to democratize the elections through the direct choice of the voters rather than allowing the political parties to determine the winning candidates through a closed list system. And also the number of seats have reduced from 70 to 50 seats as a way of creating a leaner and less expensive parliament. But unfortunately, Fiji produced the opposite effect of the single national constituency. All of the above advantages were not evident in our country, and the politicians were fixed on getting the loyalty of the locals. They did not have a broader national outlook, and instead politicians are promoting hate speeches and degrading other politicians, and they have used polarized speeches. They instill fear to the citizens in order to get more votes. Speaker 1 had mentioned that, Speaker 2. Speaker 2 had mentioned that, having a single national constituency is fair and democratic. But as as our first speaker had mentioned, that minority groups are not being represented in the parliament. Yes. He had mentioned that Rotuma that the government has been trying, for years they have been trying to replace the Ratuman Act with the Ratuman Bill. And, God, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, my colleague over here, she is like pregnant, and please just excuse her. To rebuttal onto the affirmative team, he has mentioned about one vote, one people, one value. In 2014, you have seen there was 35,727 votes were wasted. So where is the value? Where is the value for these votes which were wasted? In 2018, approximately 7,000 votes are wasted. Where is the value for these votes? Where is this value? Thank you.
Pulunaka. Before I start, I want to reply to my learned friends here. This second speaker mentioned that it's truly impossible, that she said that I could, if I were to look after the whole country, I would lose my mind. I mean, it's truly, it is impossible for someone to look after the whole country. Of course, you would lose your mind. But that's the main reason we have ministers, don't we? Okay, to start, my name is Joseph Otiava. I'm a second-year law student. And I'm going to sum up what my two friends averted. I would speak in light of 4 points. Firstly, one of the benefits of having a single constituency is before election, it usually takes around 7 days to get to know who you elect for. But now it just takes around 24 hours. So this made it a lot easier for those that reside, especially in Highlands, where they don't have to travel back and forth, being in line for a day or two. So I am sure that my learned friends sitting on my left here wouldn't want themselves to be in line and trying to cast for their votes. And secondly, before, people, they could only vote at the place of registration. Now, even if you have moved, you can cast the vote through ballot paper. So therefore, even if I want to, or even if my learned friends here, if they want to take a vacation to Vomo Island, they could still cast their votes through the ballot paper. And thirdly, before, political parties, they made local level promises subject to their constituency. Now they have made national level promises for the whole country. And fourthly, my last point is before public, they had their vote for a person contesting in their area alone. Now people have the choices. If someone is living in Ba, they have the freedom, they have rights to vote for someone who's not within their district. So therefore, I don't know how my learned friend here said it in his introduction that single constituency wouldn't benefit Fiji. Come on. So therefore, overall, to answer the question, is constituency good for Fiji? Well, a single constituency is the way forward. Naka.
Ladies and gentlemen, could we give our two teams a big round of applause? And now our judges are going to be tallying up the points for debate number 2. And after they do, they will give their comments on our two teams and their performances so far. After which, I will be announcing the winner of this debate. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, our judges are hard at work tallying up their points. But yes, right after this, we will go on break. And lunch is provided you can pay for it. So we'll go for a lunch break after this. But right now, we're just waiting on the judges to tally up the points and then give their comments, and then I will be announcing the winner for this second debate. While we wait for our judges to tally up our points, let me just ask the two teams, starting with the team to my left. How long did you guys prepare for this, and how difficult was it?
Can you repeat the question, please?
How did you prepare for this debate, and how difficult was it?
I only had 1 day to prepare for this debate. I did a daylight just to prepare for the debate. Thank you.
And for the team on my right?
We only prepared for the debate last night.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll pass it over to our judges for their comments, after which I will announce the winner of this debate.
We'll start with the gentleman on the left.
Well, just to begin, I think congratulations to both teams. I know both teams were also really nervous at this round, but I think this round, it was a very close round to call. Both teams did a lot of preparations according to our views, and there's a lot of research, and we really like the fact that you used a lot of relevant examples, especially in Fiji, which made understanding your argument so much more easier. There was a lot of signposting too by both teams. Both teams were able to summarize their arguments in a very clear way. I think the only weakness that I might see from my perspective is that the rebuttal parts by both teams, you failed to rebut the other team's arguments properly. But overall, both teams really showed excellent skill in debating, and there was really good arguments raised. I think I'll just announce the winner now before I pass it further to my... Oh, they'll announce the winners. Apologies for that, but really good debate for this round.
Thank you. Well, I share the same sentiments as Mr. Chavalisi. I thought it was a very good topic, and I thought that both teams showed commendable work. Each of the speakers spoke on the knowledge that they have on the topic, and it was very refreshing to hear from both sides, for and against the arguments. I really liked the examples, very relevant, a lot of research, and commendable work on your preparation, your research, and your lecturers who taught you. You did really well. For me, I found that it was very hard to judge you because both teams did really well. And we were very happy to hear the way you presented your arguments. Also, we were all looking, almost it was the tiebreaker was your rebuttal, and we felt that I think you were so engrossed in your own arguments that you forgot that you were in a debate competition. So great work to each of you, and very nice to judge you this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, they've covered basically what I wanted to say too, but just to add to it, presentation-wise, I think when presenting, just talk slowly, understand what you're saying, and that way you'd allow your audience and the judges to understand what you're trying to present. You executed your presentations well nonetheless. Back to what my fellow judges too have mentioned about the rebuttal, I guess that all boils down to your research. When you're fully aware of what you're talking about and you listen to the arguments of the other team, you'd be able to pick up points and address it on your feet. And I think that's what both teams failed to be able to do. But nonetheless, it was quite interesting to hear the discussions from both teams. A job well done, and yes, all the best. Vinaka.
Vinaka judges. Ladies and gentlemen, for teams that have had a limited time to prepare for today's debate, you have to agree that the debate that you just saw was very rousing, and we look forward to the final at the end of our lunch break today. But in debate number 2 between the University of Fiji and the Fiji National University on the topic of a single national constituency that is good for Fiji, the winner of debate number 2, ladies and gentlemen, is... Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the Fiji National University.